What if the fear you're feeling right now isn't a sign you're off track, but a signal you're standing at the edge of your greatest transformation? There's a moment in every shift when the fear hits hardest, not at the start, but right after something inside you clicks. You feel aligned, open, ready. Then suddenly, fear crashes in. Doubt whispers, your body contracts, and for a moment, you wonder, was it all an illusion? But neuroscience confirms, when your brain nears a major identity shift, it triggers a threat response because even pain feels safer than the unknown. This fear? It's not failure. It's friction between who you were and who you're becoming. In this video, we'll explore why fear intensifies right before the quantum leap and how to recognize it not as danger, but as a doorway. Stay with me, because what comes next might just change everything. It's surprising, isn't it? Fear doesn't usually greet you at the beginning of the journey it waits. It hides in the silence after your deepest meditation, after that moment of peace, where everything feels aligned. You sit there, heart open, breath slow. Maybe for the first time in months you feel whole again, and then like a wave crashing, inner tightness returns. Your chest contracts, your thoughts spiral. Panic, doubt, or even tears come out of nowhere. You start asking yourself, am I going backward? But here's the truth. You're not regressing. You're expanding. What you're feeling is not a breakdown, it's a recalibration. This is the paradox of growth. According to studies from Stanford Center for Compassion and Altruism Research, when we move into higher emotional states, the brainstem often activates latent fear patterns. Why? Because the nervous system is trained to protect the familiar, not the free. Like the immune system flaring up when exposed to a new environment, your inner system reacts to elevated coherence, like it's a threativen, when it's exactly what you've been seeking. This is why fear doesn't strike at the start of the shift, but right when you're closest to real change. Have you ever cleaned a room that hadn't been touched in years? At first it feels productive, then dust rises, you sneeze. Old things you forgot existed resurface. That's what's happening within you. Meditation, breathwork, or conscious intention clears emotional space, but in doing so, it often stirs what's been buried. That spike of fear is not a sign you're falling, it's a sign you're stirring deep-rooted programs loose. Friction, not failure. So what if the fear isn't there to stop you, but to test your nervous system's capacity to hold a higher signal? Have you felt this sudden contraction after peace? Let me know in the comments, I read them all. And if this message speaks to you, share it. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next part. Because up next we'll talk about a deeper truth. That alignment isn't always calm. It's not always blissful. Sometimes it shakes. Sometimes it roars. Alignment is stable frequency, not passive peace. Stay with me, what you'll learn next could shift the way you understand your entire healing journey. We often chase alignment thinking it should feel like still water, calm, serene, untouched by wind. But what if alignment isn't always peace? What if it's more like the steady beat of a drum in the middle of a storm, unchanging, even when everything around it trembles? True alignment isn't about always feeling high vibe. It's about holding a stable frequency even when your environment, your emotions, or your nervous system is shifting. Here's a truth that might surprise you. The moment you step closer to what's authentic, a healthier relationship, a more expansive version of yourself, a deeper spiritual path, your survival system will often panic. Not because you're unsafe, but because it's unfamiliar. As Dr. Joe Dispenza explains, the body doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's vividly imagined. So if your nervous system has been wired to expect chaos, pain, or abandonment, even walking into love, safety, or success can trigger alarms. The body will tense, the heart will race. You might even feel like running from the very thing you've been asking for. Imagine this. You finally meet someone kind, consistent, emotionally safe. There's no drama, no games, just peace. But instead of relaxing into it, you freeze. You second guess. You scan for red flags that aren't there. Why? Because healthy feels foreign. And to a nervous system shaped by trauma or instability, foreign equals danger. That's why alignment is not a constant high. It's not about always feeling positive, blissful, or zen. It's about stability. Think of a lighthouse. It doesn't move when the waves crash. It stays rooted, aligned, even if the storm rages. Neuroscience supports this. Researchers from the University of Sussex have found that emotional regulation isn't about suppressing chaos, it's about being able to return to internal rhythm despite the chaos. That's alignment. It's a vibration you hold, not a mood you chase. So the next time you feel fear, tension, or unease after a breakthrough moment, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, am I out of alignment? Or am I simply stabilizing in a new frequency my body hasn't learned to trust yet? What about you? Have you ever pulled away from something good because it felt too calm? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if this is resonating so far, I invite you to stay with me because up next, we'll go even deeper. You'll see why fear isn't the enemy at all. It's actually a biological signal that transformation is happening at a cellular level. Stay tuned, you don't want to miss what's coming. What if fear wasn't something to fight or fix, but a messenger, asking to be felt, not feared? Imagine you're sending out a new signal into the quantum field zone of worthiness, safety, expansion. You've declared a new identity with your thoughts, your vision boards, your morning meditations, but while your mind is reaching forward, your body is still wired to survive the past. This creates an internal collision and energetic mismatch between who you're becoming and what your nervous system has memorized. That friction, it often shows up as fear. It's not unusual. You may feel pressure in your chest, a lump in your throat, dizziness for no reason. Maybe you cry unexpectedly, not because anything is wrong, but because something is shifting. According to Dr. Candace Pert, author of Molecules of Emotion, emotions are stored in the body like energy currents. So when you raise your frequency, these old emotional imprints surface not to hurt you, but to be released. They're being metabolized by your biology in real time. Fear, in this light, isn't a threat. It's a recalibration, a signal that your system is updating, like software reconfiguring to support a higher operating mode. It's intensies, but it's intelligent. It means your field is changing. Here's where quantum physics meets transformation. In the quantum model, everything exists as possibility, a wave of potential. But when you observe something consistently with attention and emotion, you collapse that wave into reality. This is the quantum wave collapse. Your focused awareness turns potential into matter. But like light becoming laser, this power only emerges when your energy is coherent. Scattered focus creates scattered results. But when your intention is stable and your body-aligned, transformation locks in. Think about that. You're not just thinking your future, you're observing it into form. But before that collapse happens, your body may resist. Your subconscious might panic, not because you're wrong, but because you're realigning your entire frequency. And fear is often the heat that precedes crystallization. Have you noticed this in your life? A moment where everything looked clear, but suddenly your body felt overwhelmed, like peace came, and then panic followed? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear how this shows up for you. And remember, if you're experiencing these shifts, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means your biology is catching up to your soul. Your old emotional circuitry is unraveling to make space for a higher signal. You are not regressing, you are reforming. So stay with me, because up next, we're going beyond awareness. You'll learn how to regulate your inner environment, not escape it. We're stepping into the true practice of the awakened. And that changes everything. What if the most awakened thing you could do when fear rises isn't to escape it, but to regulate your presence within it? Most people think being spiritual or aligned means always feeling light, high vibe, elevated. So when fear, sadness, or anxiety shows up, the knee-jerk response is either to suppress it or to panic. I must have fallen out of alignment. But what if you didn't fall? What if you're just learning how to stay when the energy gets real? The truth is, many of us were never taught how to stay regulated in discomfort. We were taught to run, numb, scroll, fix, or distract. But regulation, the art of staying grounded, while your nervous system recalibrates, the real work of awakening. And the most powerful shifts don't come from avoiding the wave, but from learning how to surf it. So, Let's talk about what this looks like. Because when that wave hits, when your chest tightens, your thoughts spiral, or tears surface for no clear reason, you don't need to force yourself to feel better. You need to bring your body back into coherence. Here are 4 simple, powerful tools that realign you in just 1-2 minutes. 1. Vagus nerve reset. Your vagus nerve is the master switch of your parasympathetic nervous system responsible for calm, rest, and repair. When fear strikes, activating this nerve helps your body shift from survival into safety. One way to do this is humming. Gently hum for 30-60 seconds, letting the vibration travel through your throat and chest. You can also splash your face with cold water, or take a brief cold shower. Cold exposure stimulates the vagus nerve and rapidly restores calm. 2. The 5-4 -3, -2, -1. Grounding technique. When anxiety pulls you out of your body, this simple exercise brings you back to the present. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. Try it next time your thoughts feel like they're racing. You'll be surprised how quickly it works. 3. Heart coherence breathing. Developed by the HeartMath Institute, this method helps synchronize your brain and heart rhythms. Breathe in for 5 seconds, out for 5 seconds. As you do, bring to mind a moment of gratitude or calm, like the sun warming your skin, or the eyes of someone you love. Just 90 seconds of this shifts your entire physiology into coherence. 4. EFT tapping. Emotional freedom technique, or tapping, involves gently tapping acupressure points on your face and body while speaking truth. For example, even though I feel anxious, I deeply love and accept myself. This helps release emotional charge while reprogramming your subconscious with safety and self-compassion. Have you ever tried any of these? What works best for you when the wave hits? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to gather insights from our whole community. And remember, you don't have to return to a high frequency instantly. That pressure is resistance. What you need is presence, not perfection. It's okay to be in the middle of the storm and still trust that your anchor holds. This is the practice of the awakened, not bypassing fear but befriending it through the body. And if this resonates, I encourage you to stay with me, because up next, we'll explore something crucial: why you keep looping into the same patterns. And no, it's not because you're weak. It's because your inner map, the one your nervous system follows, hasn't been rewritten yet. Let's talk about that. Have you ever found yourself standing at the edge of something new, an opportunity, a connection, a breakthrough, and then, almost without thinking, you pull back, you procrastinate, you ghost, you self-sabotage, and afterward, you wonder, why do I keep doing this? What's wrong with me? But here's the truth that might soften everything. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not weak. You're not broken. You're just following a map your nervous system wrote a long time ago. Our behavior, especially the ones we repeat under stress, are not random. They're pathways, carved by repetition. According to Dr. Joe Dispenza, by the time we turn 35, over 95% of our actions, reactions, and emotional responses are driven by the subconscious mind. Meaning, even when we consciously want something new, our unconscious wiring might still be loyal to the old. That's not failure. It's just outdated programming. Think of your nervous system like a hiking trail. The more you walk one path, the more defined it becomes. If you've practiced avoidance, distrust, or self-doubt for years, those become your default trails. So when life invites you to take a new road, like receiving love, stepping into success, or trusting your intuition, your system hesitates, not because it's wrong, but because it's unfamiliar. Take a moment to reflect. Have you ever started pushing love away right when it felt safe? Or sabotaged a goal right when it became possible? These are not signs of weakness. They're the echoes of neural patterns trying to keep you within known limits. The good news? Your brain is not fixed. Thanks to neuroplasticity, your neural pathways can be rewritten. Every time you pause before reacting, every time you choose to breathe instead of flee, every time you let something good stay, you're laying a new track. Small choices repeated with intention reshape the entire map, and that is the real work. Not overnight change, but conscious rewiring. Have you noticed your own patterns resurfacing at the edge of expansion? How do you respond? I'd love to hear your experiences. Drop them in the comments so we can learn together. And if this message is speaking to something deep in you, stay with me, because up next, we'll explore a powerful key to anchoring these new patterns, integrating your shadow. Because the parts of you you've been avoiding may hold the exact frequency you've been seeking to stabilize. You won't want to miss it. What if the parts of you you've spent years avoiding, your fear, your envy, your shame, aren't the problem, but the missing pieces of your wholeness? Imagine your inner world as a symphony. Every emotion, belief, memory is an instrument, and when one is rejected or silenced, the whole orchestra falls out of tune. Alignment isn't about muting the uncomfortable. It's about listening deeply until even your shadows feel seen. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." The shadow isn't your enemy. It's a protector frozen in time. That anxious part? It once kept you safe. That jealous part? It learned to scan for threats before your heart could break again. That ashamed part? It made sure you didn't draw attention in unsafe spaces. These fragments aren't flaws. They're survival strategies. And now, they're waiting to be reintegrated, not exiled. So how do we do this? One powerful way is through parts work, also known as internal family systems, IFS. Picture each difficult emotion as a younger self, scared, confused, but loyal. Instead of pushing it away, sit with it. Gently ask, "What are you afraid will happen?" Or, "What do you need right now to feel safe?" These questions aren't just therapeutic, they're magnetic. They bring unconscious energy into conscious awareness, which is the first step toward lasting transformation. You can even close your eyes and imagine sitting across from this part like a child who only knows how to cry when it's overwhelmed. Let them speak. Let them be messy. Let them belong. Because when all parts of you feel safe, your nervous system stabilizes, and only in safety can a new frequency truly settle. Think of it like tuning an orchestra. If one violin is out of tune, the whole piece feels off, and if every other instrument is perfect. Integration is what brings coherence. And coherence is what makes your vibration undeniable. This is how true frequency elevation happens, not by bypassing your inner chaos, but by creating harmony within it. Have you ever spoken to a part of yourself you used to reject? What happened when you gave it space? Let me know in the comments. This is where real stories are born. And if this resonates, I invite you to stay with me, because the next step might just be the most empowering yet. We're going to talk about leading yourself through energetic chaos and becoming the one who transmits steadiness, even when the world shakes. You'll learn how to embody a calm so stable, others feel it just by being near you. Don't miss it. What if true leadership isn't about controlling the storm, but learning how to hold stillness within it? Picture this. You're sitting beside your fear, not pushing it away, not negotiating with it, but simply placing a hand on your heart and whispering, "I see you, but we're going anyway." That moment when you choose presence over panacea, the moment you stop being someone who manifests and become someone who transmits. Because frequency isn't something you speak, it's something you are. It moves through your eyes, your breath, your posture, your nervous system. People feel you before they hear you. Just like nature responds to vibration like birds, sensing danger before a storm, humans respond to energy before words. This is how you become the signal, not by faking calm, but by embodying coherence, even when your mind wavers, even when your emotions rise, especially when the world around you is unstable. So how do you guide yourself when everything feels shaky? Start with a simple daily practice called the alignment check-in. Each morning or any time during the day, pause and ask yourself, what frequency am I transmitting right now? Which timeline am I aligning with through my energy, not just my words? You might find you're broadcasting anxiety, even as you affirm peace. That's not wrong, it's simply awareness. And with awareness comes power, because once you recognize the signal, you can gently shift it. Not with force, but with breath, with stillness, with intention. According to the HeartMath Institute, your heart's electromagnetic field is 5,000 times more powerful than the brain sand. It extends several feet beyond your body. That means your inner state literally influences the room before you even speak. That's why learning to self-regulate in the midst of internal noise isn't just self, Help its frequency leadership. Try this. The next time fear visits, don't try to fix it. Sit with it. Regulate your breath. Feel your feet on the ground. And then remind yourself, I am the anchor. I am the transmitter. Have you ever noticed how someone's presence can change the energy of a space without them saying a word? What if that could be you? Let me know in the comments, when have you been the calm in the chaos? Or when have you longed to be? Your story might guide someone else through their storm. And if this resonates, don't go anywhere because up next, we're going to explore how to integrate this frequency into your everyday life. Not just during meditation or healing sessions, but in the new normal, in your relationships, your work, your conversations. That's where embodiment becomes real. Stay with me. What if becoming your future self isn't about doing more, but returning more often? Not in grand gestures, but in quiet choices. A deep breath before answering the phone. A softened jaw during a tense conversation. A gentle, "I've got you," whispered inward during doubt. You're not pretending to be someone you're not. You're teaching your body to live in a reality it once only imagined. Neuroscientific research from the University of Wisconsin shows that consistent states of mindfulness and emotional regulation can literally rewire the brain's default mode network, the part responsible for self-referencing and rumination. This means that the more you return to presence, the more natural it becomes. You begin to default to clarity rather than chaos. And that shift, that's the beginning of a new normal. Alignment isn't about never wobbling. It's about returning again and again. Like tuning a piano, no pianist expects their instrument to stay in tune without attention. They tune it before each performance. You are no different. Your nervous system, your energy field, your intention, they require care, not perfection. You don't need to stay high vibe all day. You just need to know how to come back. So start with simple rituals. Maybe it's one grounding breath before you check your phone in the morning, or a short check-in at lunch. What am I aligning with right now? It could be placing a hand on your heart before bed and saying, "We did our best today." These aren't just spiritual habits, they're signals. Signals that inform your biology, shape your perception, and bend timelines. Every time you stay present instead of fleeing, you collapse an old pattern. Every time you respond with softness instead of defense, you shift probability. This is not performance. This is programming. Cellular, neurological, electromagnetic. You are not acting as if. You are inhabiting the frequency of your future until your body, your field, your external world, all begin to mirror it back. Can you feel that? The subtle power in returning. Have you noticed that the days you feel most clear aren't always the ones with the biggest wins, but the ones where you simply stayed connected? What does returning look like for you? I'd love to hear in the comments. And if this message is landing in your heart, I invite you to stay for one final piece. Because in the next part, we'll close this journey with a quiet reminder, a message you can return to anytime the waves feel too big. A conclusion, yes, but also a beginning. Don't miss it. What if you were never being tested, only rewired? What if every wave of fear, every pause between breaths, every unexpected tear wasn't a setback but a signal? A sign that your nervous system, your signaling field, and your deepest belief structures are being gently rewritten. You are not broken. You're being recalibrated. Your new timeline isn't far away, it's already here, pulsing softly beneath your next breath. You don't have to reach for it. You only have to return to it, moment by moment, choice by choice. Each time you regulate instead of react, breathe instead of brace, soften instead of self, abandon your coding that reality into your biology. You're becoming the embodiment of everything you've asked for. And no, you don't have to do it perfectly. You only have to keep showing up, not because you need fixing, but because you're remembering who you truly are beneath the fear, the doubt, and the programming. So I'll say this gently, and I hope you feel it fully. Keep going, not because you have all the answers, but because you're willing to stay in the frequency of truth. Keep returning not to who you used to be, but to the vibration you were born to hold. Have you felt this shift lately? Do parts of this journey reflect your own? I'd love to know. Share in the comments, I read every one. And if this message supported you, I'd be deeply grateful if you'd like, subscribe, and tap the bell, not for the numbers, but because together, we're building a field where awakening feels possible, even in the ordinary. To close, remember this: you're not failing, you're forming. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. And you're not alone. You're part of a quiet revolution on breath, one signal, one brave return at a time.